Alrighty, so this is the county funds work session, July 6th. Start with, has everybody got the agenda? Probably everybody's got the, we'll do debt service fund 151, and then county debt budget, highway fund 131, drug control fund 122, solid waste fund 116, courthouse and jail maintenance. And if we've got time, we get done, if everybody wants to, we'll just go into the 911 and nursing home budget. They've already been approved by the board, so, we won't have to do line item by line item on that, just kind of do the highlights on it. So, everybody turn to the first page. First we had a reappraisal, and now the penny is worth $42,933.73, which is up from last year. The net penny with 10% delinquency is $38,640. So last year it was $32,000, so it's went up about $6,000. The penny has. And down below shows you what each fund. General fund, if we put 1.2256, that would be $5,261,000. Come on down. Okay, right here's you. There's the agenda. If you want to sign that right there. And we got rulers if you want one to go. So that's a breakdown of the penny. Of course, now the rate that the state says to go with is 197.06, which is 225 last year. So the rate has went down. So we've split up accordingly. And in the past, we've always done an even number, but this year with the rate being 1.9706, we'll have to do decimal points on the end of them to the fund. So the general fund, 1.2256 will be the tax rate for it. Solid waste department, 85 cents, 0.85. Highway fund, 0.85. General purpose school, 48 cents. Debt service, 0.950. And the total will be 197.06, which will be $8,460,520.83. But we reserve 10% for delinquency, which comes out to $7,614,469. And that's because the appraisals come in and a lot of the assessments went up and the rates went down. So last year the rate was 225, so that's 28 cents less tax rate is than it was last year. All right, any question on that? All right, roll into the next page. That shows the debt summary we have. We got the industrial park land that we started off $5 million. This year we paid the plumb off and it's zero, and the 2009 bonds are $2,155,000. That's what we owe on those left. And the nursing home, the first one, $2,990,000 was the cottages. Then the second one is the $4,820,000, which totals $7,810,000 outstanding as of 6/30/19. Now we've made payments since then, so it would be less than that. And the school, they've got their bonds. We refinanced one of them, but the 14 bond will be $735,000, which it started off $4,215,000. So we refinanced it, and then the other one, so the one bond is lower and the other one's higher, and it evens out. And so the 15 bond started off $4,230,000, and it's going to be $4,130,000. As you'll see right there, the only thing they had to pay on it was $25,000, so the payment's not been much on it because of the refinance. So total from the schools, they paid $740,000, and what's left on their bonds will be $4,865,000 at the end of last fiscal year, and they started off $5,605,000. And if you notice on the nursing homes, they started off $8.1 million, and theirs ended up $7.8. And the counties, the very top one, started off $3.1 million and ended up $2.1. So we paid $1 million in payments on it. So with the school bonds and every bond we've got total, we started off $16,916,000 outstanding in July 1 of 18, and we ended $14,830,000 as of 6/30/19. Total bonds, that's all the bonds we've got. And we've got the note, the county services building. We started off 3.42 million. And as of this, we don't show any payments yet, but when we get down a little farther, I'll show you we've already made some payments on that. And we've got the school loan that they done for the energy. It's 2.5 million, and they've not paid on it as of when it's printed off. So if you see in the bottom where Connie wrote in, the U.S. bank bond that we show for the county, it shows 2.155 on your second row at the very top. We paid $405,000 on it this year, and that made that bond $1,750,000. So next year we've got a $400,000 scheduled payment. So that bond will be down to $1,350,000. Number two, the county building note, we started off 3.42 million, and we paid $965,000 on it so far. So what's owed is $2,455,000, and we've got a scheduled $920,000 payment next year we're gonna try to make, which will get the county building down to 1.535 million. We've also got the ambulance note, which there's no payment this year. Next year, $18,000 payment, and it will be $184. That's where we borrowed money, but we got money, $100,000 grant, but we borrowed $200. And then the BRZ bridge note, we've not paid any on it this year, but next year we project to pay $2.5 million on it, and it will get it down to $770,000. So on that second page, your debt service, last year we put a dime in it. This year we're looking at putting 9.5 cents, which comes out to $367,000. Is how much goes out of the property tax into debt service, but then the rest of it is revenue sharing from TVA, is how we pay the rest of the payments on that. Then the money we borrowed for the BRZ and the money we borrowed for the ambulance note. So that shows what all debts the county has total. Everybody got any? So in the next 2024, one of the school bonds will be out. 2025, the next one will be out. The county's bond will be out in 2024. So as of then, we will, nursing home bonds go longer. But the county building was scheduled to go till 2030. It was 10 years to start with, but if we keep going like we're doing, we should be able to do it the next 3 or 4 years, pay it on the new building. The energy loan through the school, it's 2032. It's slow payments every year on it. So, anybody got any questions about the debt summary we've got for the county? So we've not. This will be 5 years in a row we've not raised taxes, and we built a lot of things, but we've done it without raising taxes and paid down what we owe, because we did have a lot more notes than what we have now, and we paid a lot of them off. The industrial park, we paid it off early, and that saved us several $1,000s in interest on it. So, anybody got any question on that one? Next page is the breakdown of the debt service fund 151. That shows last year, 18-19 audited numbers for property tax were $353,000, and we estimated $360,000 this year. Of course, that's an estimate because we don't have the numbers completely done for this year, because we still got expenses and revenue in that. So budgeted $367,000 for next year. So even though the tax penny went down to the general fund, there's more money going into the debt service than we had last year. So it'll keep the same amount of money in there. So as you go down through there, it shows there's trustees collection and payments in lieu of taxes from utilities, and all that's basically the same. So the total taxes last year, audited number was $404,000 that went into the debt service. This year we're estimating $409,000 went in there, and next year the budget is $416,000. So the debt service will get a little more money than it got this year. The next section, investment income. That's where Peggy invests the money we have in bonds, and we draw interest off that. 2018, it drawed $472,000. This year, we estimated $375,000. Next year, we're estimating $420,000. Of course, we got the money from the county building loan that she's drawing interest on, so that's why we're estimating a little more than last year. And the state revenue sharing, like I talked about before, that's the main money we get to go into debt service and we pay debt with. Audited number last year, $611,000. This year we estimated $635,000. Next year we're budgeting $3.120 million, but that's because of the BRC, $2.5 million of that's the BRC money, so that's why it's went up so much. But it'll be expenditure too, so it'll just wash out. It'll be total. So at the bottom of the page on total revenue, last year audited number 1.488 million, and we estimate this year $1,420,000. Next year we're budgeting $3,957,083, but the difference is mainly the BRC money. That's the only difference on that. That'll be coming out on the next pages. Make any question on that page? Roll into page number 2 on the debt service fund. Principal on bonds last year, $1,008,825. Total this year we estimated $1,370,000, and for this year's budget we're budgeting $3,893,000 for expenditures, but that's BRC money too. So the BRC money coming in on revenue and it's going out on expenditures. So interest last year $103,000 audited. This year we estimate $197,000. Next year we're budgeting $263,000, and that's interest on the money for the BRC that we're drawing while we've got that money and the county building money. So we're drawing interest on that money while we're not paying it back on the building. So then we'll turn around and put that back on the notes. The next part is total general government. That's fiscal agent charges. Like when we have to borrow the money, we have to pay a certain percent, which is low compared to what the amount is. So total expenditures, $1,129,570 last year was audited numbers. We estimate $1,620,353 this year, but that's where we also paid on the county building extra. You know, the building come in so much less than we budgeted, we turn around and paid that money back on the notes. This year, we're budgeting $4,232,203, but most of that extra is because of BRZ. That's what we're figuring to spend that. So, total change in fund balance. Last year, we had a fund balance of $1,491,000 audited. This year, we're estimating $1,290,000, and if we pay on everything like we're showing, next year we'll have a fund balance of $1,015,000. As long as we keep anywhere close around $1 million in fund balance for the debt service, we're in really good shape. So if anybody got any questions, that's all of the debt service, which, like I said, it got 10 cents in the property tax last year. We're looking at 8.5 cents this year, but it's bringing in more money than 10 cents did last year because the penny went up. So, anybody got any questions about the debt service before we roll to the next? All right, next fund, Highway Fund 131. Most of that money is from gas tax from the state. Last year, total taxes from the county came in audited $459,650. We estimate $487,366 this year, and next year budgeted $478,643. So that 40110 property tax. Last year, $320,000 in property tax went to the highway department. This year's $328,000. So that's just where the pennies worth more, and we dropped the number of pennies, but the highway department will still be getting more money than we had last year from the county. Other local revenues about the same. Last year audited $21,626. This year estimated $69,000. Of course, they had a big sale of equipment. Now, are you just looking at that selling stuff this year too? Probably not as much as you sold that year, though, are you? Or are you? You all budgeted $20,000 this year, so that's why that one's less. But some years we sell more things, we have more things come up for sale than others. So this next part is state of Tennessee, because that's where your gas tax is at, and engineering fees are at, and revenues. So last year budgeted number $2,557,311. This year estimated $2,274,337, and we're budgeting $2,481,229, which the gas tax we're figuring a little lower than we did a couple of years ago because the gas taxes come in a little less because people haven't been driving as much, so the gas tax from the state's been coming in. And there's a little more money in there from engineering too, where we're doing the bridge projects. Any questions on page 3? All right, page 4. Disaster relief. That's the FEMA or TEMA money we're looking at getting back, the $110,000 where they expended last year when we had the floods. So we're looking at getting that back this year. So that's the only thing in that fund. Direct federal money is the VRZ.
That would be NCRS through the Park Service section.
Oh, the one you're doing the cleanup.
Yes, 350.
Okay. The 350 is.
That's what that's for. That's direct federal money from them.
So total last year revenue was $3,038,000. This year estimated $2,893,000, and that's down some because the gas tax has been down because during the COVID, when people weren't out driving, the gas tax come in less than it did last year. Budgeted for next year is $3,439,872. But then again, that extra is the money from TEMA and the money for the cleanup. So that's your difference on that. Next line item is expenditures for the highway administration. Last year total $151,462. This year estimated $164,090, and we're estimating $180,330 this year, and that's just for the state mandated raises and the rate and the insurance on that was increased. Next line is highway and bridge maintenance, where it says supervisor. That's several people. That's not one employee. There's not nobody out there making $170,000. Because I asked that 18 years ago when I got elected. I said, well, somebody's making good to be over the bridges, but that's about 4, maybe 5 salaries that one line item is, and that's where it's hard to, tell unless somebody tells you that. Because I asked that. I said, well, somebody's making good and supervising the bridges. So the equipment operators, that's everybody that works out there on the road. Roll in the next page on page 5. Total on that, highway and bridge maintenance, $1,363,000 was the audited numbers last year. Estimated $1,462,000 this year. Budgeted for next year is $1,605,000. So that's also, that's got the hot mix, cold mix, stone, crushed stone, and everything in that. Salt and. Next line item is operation and maintenance of equipment, and that's your mechanics and supervisor there, and gasoline, and working on all the equipment, and buying equipment too. So last year all the numbers $488,000. This year we're estimating $499,000. Next year budget is $595,000. James, I guess got some different equipment in this one that you're looking at buying. Then that's just whatever raises come through. So the next one is the quarry operations. It shows you supervisor and operators. Operators is at least, that's 2 probably. It's not, okay. Page 6, keeps going down, the laborers and overtime. So that's total on the quarry, $145,303 last year. Estimated this year $203,000, and we're budgeting $229,000 for next year. Other charges, there's workman's comp and liability insurance. Last year audited numbers $152,000. Estimating this year $151,000. We're budgeting $200,000 this year. We think the workers' comp insurance is going to go up some. It's the difference, but if it doesn't, we'll be spending that in that part of the budget. So that's the only difference in that. Insurance, Social Security, and medical insurance, and unemployment. $353,000 last year audited numbers. Estimate this year $422,000. Budgeting for next year $497,000. So the insurance has increased a little, and that's the difference on that. Next line is capital outlay notes, and engineering fees, and state aid. That's where the state aid payment is at, and the VRZ engineering services. So total on that. Expenditures altogether, of course, the capital outlay section is $433,000 last year. Estimating this year $236,000. budgeted $391,000. So total expenditures, $3,088,000 last year were the budgeted numbers. This year estimating $3,140,000. For the budget coming up, you got budgeted $3,700,000, but some of that is where the workman's comp, and that's the VRZ and the cleanup project too, so that's the main difference in that. Anybody got, are we going fast enough, slow enough for everybody to understand that part? Okay, the next section, page 7, total estimated expenditures. Last year, like I said, it was $3,088,000. This year estimated $3,140,000, budgeted $3,700,000. So the estimated fund balance at the end of June 30, audited 2019 numbers $1,336,000. This year we're estimating $1,090,000. For next year, estimating $829,000. That's if James spends everything in the whole budget, which they usually don't. None of the departments do. So, you know, the fund balance July 1 will be $1,090,000. So if he spent everything, the worst case scenario would be $829,000, which is still fine. On the highway. So anybody got any question about the highway fund? That's all right. Go to page 8. That's the drug fund. That's from drug fines that come into the county. Sheriff's over that. They use that for different things. Basically the same estimated revenues down there at the bottom. $34,000 last year was audited. Estimated $12,000 this year because they hadn't had court for almost half a year. I mean, that's why the drug fees are down this year, because court's still, part of it's still shut down. So next year we're budgeting $30,000. Who knows if the courts will be going solid next year? Kind of budgeted a little lower than we did this year. You know, who knows on that? So page 9, it shows what all comes out of that. The total expenditures were $23,000. This year, $5,192 has all been spent out of it this year. Budget for next year is $27,160, which they didn't bring in a lot of money, but the sheriff didn't spend it either because they haven't been able to have court, so they couldn't use a lot of that. So total on that, estimated the fund balance as of June 30th, 18, audited numbers was $102,000. This year we're estimating it's $110,000. Next year, if they spend everything in the budget they've got budgeted, it'll be $113,000. So that fund's in good shape too. So the fund balance is pretty good on that. And they just spend on that when the sheriff requests that. Any questions on the drug fund? All right, we roll into, do we need to take a break or we just need to keep rolling on the?
Keep going.
Okay, the next one, solid waste fund, 116. You'll notice property taxes, 18, 19 number, that audited number is for sure what we actually got. So $320,873, estimating $327,000 this year, budgeting $328,000 next year. So cut the number of pennies going there too, but it's more money because the way the penny fell, we'll have to change the number of pennies going. And the reason we estimated, we still got money coming in and we still got money coming out right now. So the year's not ended yet, so that's why this number in the middle is an estimate, because we're still working off this year's budget. We should know more next week. I think tomorrow's gonna be the last day we're cutting checks for June 30, so we'll know, because we're still paying bills and we're still getting collected money from last year's numbers. So it's just an estimate, every day it changes. So as always, I wondered that before a long time ago when we first started doing it. You know, it's an estimate when you never did really, but you can't, that's all you can do right now because we're still getting money and spending money in last year's budget. So total taxes on that, $1,049,000 going in the solid waste fund last year. We're estimating $1,027,000 this year. We're budgeting $863,000 for next year. The difference is the local option sales tax. Kind of hate to budget as high as we did last year because who knows what's going to happen in the next year about the sales tax. And we've been lucky the last couple of months have been fairly decent, but you know, the problem we get into, we estimate too much revenue, then we don't get it, and we're spending a lot more. So we're trying to, if the money comes in better than what we figure, well, that's really good. But I would rather estimate a little lower than maybe it'll come in better. So that's why the total money coming in, revenue is a little less, but, you know, we could get that sales tax, I mean, who knows, I mean, we'll just, tipping fees and charges when people come out and pay, get rid of the trash, $264,000 last year was the audited number. We're estimating $235,000 this year. We're budgeting $242,000 for next year. Next part is sale of recyclable goods and equipment. Last year we got $65,125. This year we estimated $37,000. Next year we're budgeting $35,000. The biggest seller we got is cardboard. Cardboard, the bottom fell out of it during this COVID. They basically quit paying anything for cardboard. They just kind of went back up and paying a little more. Cardboard brings more than aluminum cans, right? So aluminum cans dropped, everything we sell dropped during the COVID. So, but we get a lot of cardboard, that's our main recyclable, so that's the main thing we're selling. So I hope it picks back up. It's like oil, used to we got paid $1 a gallon, they come and got it. Now we gotta pay them to get rid of what oil we can't use in the oil burners. So everybody knows we got the grant a few years ago to get those oil heaters, but we can't run the oil that's got antifreeze in it. We have to pay to get rid of the other oil. Used to they paid us for it, but everything, the bottles dropped out of recyclables. So the next part is grants. We've added some grants and we don't know for sure if we'll get those or not. There's a $100,000 grant for convenience center and for recycling and $200,000 for transfer. That's why the revenue is showing more there, but we don't know for sure if we'll get those grants or not. And we found out today, TDEC had cut the planner we've got, the solid waste planner, Lisa Love worked at the Development District. TDEC cut that out of the budget, so we no longer have a solid waste planner from TDEC. I don't know what that's gonna affect. We'll have to do some more work on our APR report every year because of that. But, so on the bottom, total state revenues, of course, we're budgeting $400,000 because of those grants, but we don't know for sure if they'll even cut those out this year. So last year, estimated revenue was $1,407,000, and that was the actual audited number. Estimate this year $1,315,000. We're budgeting $1,541,000 revenue for next year, but that's only if we get those grants. If we don't get the grants, we won't get the money, but we won't be spending it either, so it'll kind of wash it out on that one. Page 10. Any questions on 10? Roll to page 11. That's expenditures. Total administration on that, that's workers' comp and insurance, legal fees. $69,000 last year was the audited number. Estimate $73,000 this year. We're budgeting $100,000 for next year. That's because we're figuring the liability insurance will go up, and that's in the workers' comp. That's why we've been really lucky on the workers' comp and liability for a while, but we're thinking it's gonna go up for all departments. So, the next part is convenience centers. That's all the convenience center operators pay, and Social Security and retirement and Medicare. Last year, audited numbers $170,196. Budgeted, well, this year the estimate is $191,000 is what we're estimating. And next year we're budgeting $430,000, but that's because some of the grants. We've got expenditures. A while ago was the revenue from the grants, and this is the expenditures. So if we get those grants, we'll be expending that. But you know, we try to put that in there every year, and we got some grants for some of the equipment, but we may not get that this year. Any questions on that page? Yes.
So you got $120,000 in grants? Is that?
We're budgeting that. So we got, when we done the oil, that was in 2017, I think, or 16, we got $281,000 and no match to pay for those. We apply for grants every year. We applied for a grant to get a backhoe, we didn't get that, but we're budgeting for a grant, and if we get it, it's good. If we don't, we won't be spending that, so that won't be an expenditure, that's just it. That way we don't have to come back and do a budget amendment if we do get the grant.
So it went up either?
Well, but we also got more revenue. We figured more revenue and we figured more expense, but if we don't get it, that washes itself out. So we're figuring $300,000 more in grant, but we're figuring on spending $300 more too. So if we get it, we'll get it and turn around and spend it. If we don't, it'll just go back to That's the only difference on that. I know it's kind of misleading, it looks misleading where you show revenue, but that's only if we get the grant. So we need to, because we need to budget that revenue and then budget the expenditure whether we get it or not, so. And that's where we know ahead, it's pretty good. Sometimes we get grants show up at the last minute, and then we, have to do budget amendments and do them. But this way we know to start with, that'll be, at the most, that would be all we would be doing in that fund. Any questions? More about page 11? All right, going with page 12, this is the transfer station and maintenance on the building and disposal fees where we have to pay to get rid of the trash. $986,000 is the audited numbers from last year. We're estimating $987,000 this year, budgeting $1,310,000 for next year, but a lot of that's the grant too, the same difference. Some of the grant is if we can get a grant to do some new equipment and maybe, as we're getting ready, we tore that concrete out in the big building up there where you back in there, a lot of the concrete was breaking apart. So we had that all redone, we built retaining walls. That back wall fell plumb out of that building, that metal. So we're in the process right now of building a 15-foot tall concrete retaining wall to go across the back of the building. So we have the trailer, if you've ever looked down in there, that's where the trailer says, they push trash down in there, or that back wall rusted out. It's been there since 1993, I guess. So insurance paid for part of that, and we'll pay for the rest of it out of the solid waste fund. But, so that's only, like I said, we'll only be spending $1,310,000 if we get those grants. Now, that is one more truck driver in there, which we needed that a long time ago, and eventually it'll probably get to where we need another one, because right now on Saturday, we've got a truck driver. Mondays, there's always backed up. Rickman's getting as much trash as Livingston is, or more some weeks. So now we've got a truck driver every Saturday working, but we've got 3 trucks. Well, actually, we've got 4, we've got a spare 2. So they got one on Saturday can be running and changing out boxes, because Rickman got overloaded on Saturday, because there's so much trash coming down there, so that's really helped that we had that. Now, the disposal fees, we budgeted more. Now, every year, of course, the consumer price index goes up, and we started off, $40 is what we paid per ton to get rid of trash. Then we re-signed the new contract and got it for $32.50. When it's went up every year, and it's about, we estimated maybe $36 this coming year. So that's why we put $5.50 in disposal fees instead of $4.62. It may not go up that much, I don't know, it just depends on what the consumer price index is, but still, we're paying less and they come to Livingston and get our trash than some counties are, and they haul their own trash to Carthage or to Salina or somewhere else. There's a lot of counties around us, they've got their own trucks like we used to do back in the 90s. We hauled trash to Birchtown, we had to buy the trucks and pay to get rid of it. And now they come here twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day and get the trash. Which right now I would say next year on tipping fees too, you'll notice a lot more, because Christmas is the biggest trash time we have. Of course, everybody's buying presents and everybody's taking the stuff out there. But during this COVID, since everybody's been at the house, everybody, which is good, they're cleaning out their houses and they're taking, every day we're getting as much trash as we do at Christmas, almost every single day. So this next year, the tipping fees will probably be a lot more, because we're getting a whole lot more trash than we've ever got. But I'd rather just haul it out there than we do it off the side of the road somewhere, so that's good that everybody's bringing it out there, so. Okay, so the next part, we're on the recycling center. And if there's anything you got a question about, we got a, right here's the signage. We're on page 12 at the bottom of the recycling. And after we get done, I can go over whatever we went, whatever you missed, and if you want, if there's anything you got a question about. Okay, so that recycling, there's a grant on that too, so if you go into page 13, total recycling, we spent $127,000 last year, estimate $60,000 this year. Next year, we're budgeting $252,000, but then again, that's grants, so that's the difference. We're at the top of page 13, Shane, on the back of the. So the next one is crushed stone, and that right there at fertilizer, that's where we have to fertilize and we have to fix the road out there at the landfill. Which is supposed to be 25 years, now we have to do testing every 3 months, and we have to do methane testing at the landfill. We'll always probably have to do that. But we fertilize every year because TDEC comes out and checks it, and James is good to bring us rock and fix the road. The road's gotta be where TDEC can get in here, and the people we've got hired can come in and test. So they test the water every 3 months, they test the methane wells every 3 months. $6,500 is what we're budgeting for fertilizer. It's usually less than $1,000 for fertilizer. We have had years, and James got out there and had to help us a lot a few years ago. The grass right now is pretty good, so if it gets, if it starts washing out, we have to get grass in there and get it where it won't run over. So the next part is post-closure cost. Last year, $17,775 is what was audited. This year, we're estimating $33,873. Next year, budgeting $71,000. Last year, we had a company doing it that wasn't doing a good job, and TDEC asked us to change companies, and part of the year they didn't test. So we were showing a lot of things in the water out there at the landfill that nobody in Tennessee had ever tested anywhere, which I thought was odd. So we hired a new company, and ever since they've been testing, we're showing numbers like we did 10 years ago. So the numbers are really good. Whatever particles are coming out in the water within TDEC's. So we've been fined from TDEC before, in trouble with TDEC over the landfill because of who we had testing. But right now, we're not.
Is that the
TDEC's.
difference in the cost?
Well, the cost have went up, and they're sending 2 people. TDEC wants us to have methane well tested, and they send 2 people out. So we bid it a few years ago, but you can only, professional services, you can't bid cost. So they all have a cost per man hour in there. But back in 2014, I think, or 13, 12. Well, it's costing more than it cost in the past, but I'll just tell you, in the past, what they were doing, they weren't doing it right. And we actually spent out more in fines to TDEC. We were always in trouble with TDEC all the time about the solid waste. And this company we got now, which it got bought out, and, we might look at doing, which, when Ron Cyrus was in here, we bid it out. And this company bid it low, the man hours. But then when they start doing it, they charge us more hours. So you can't really tell when you bid it how much it's gonna cost because, they might send 2 people instead of 1. So for now, this company we got doing it, the one in Sparta that, PSI, but it's something else now. The guy that Ronnie Reese owned it, he died, and there's another company changed. But right now they're doing really good. I know it costs a little more than it cost last time to do it, but they're actually doing the test they're supposed to. This other company charged us $10,000 for this pump put in there that we didn't even need. And TDEC told them not to even put it in there. So this one we got now is really doing what they're supposed to do.
They're testing water from another state, but
Yeah.
they wouldn't test it.
That's what they were
They
doing.
were walking upstream and testing the water downstream after they disturbed it. I mean, you're not supposed to get in the water above it and test it, but it was showing fine. And TDEC wants to be there when they test, and they didn't show up when TDEC was there. So this company we've got now, a lot of counties are using them. They're doing a really good job. So I almost can keep with them because it's really hard to get somebody to do this kind of service. And this place, TDEC can't tell you who they want to do it, but it's pretty much.
Yeah.
So if I got us out of trouble with TDEC, that's good. So total expenditures, last year, audited numbers, $1,370,000. This year, we're estimating $1,348,000. Next year, we're budgeting $2,170,000. But a lot of that's we're budgeting for the grants. And we're budgeting for the tipping costs too more, because we're figuring we're gonna have to be paying out more because people are gonna be bringing in more trash. And, this has went up over the years because as far as county size, we get a lot more trash here than a lot of counties our size. So I'm glad people are using, we still have a lot of trash on the roads we're picking up, but like I said, we're gonna have to haul the trash out of here one way or another. I'd rather get out of the dumpster as it would to have to pay somebody to get offside the road. So, last year, audited numbers, $37,000 over expenditures is what our fund balance was. This year, we're estimating $32,000 more than we brought in. Next year, we're budgeted $629,000 more, but That's only if we get those grants, which we may not, so. Total, at the bottom, page 13, fund balance, June 30, $1,676,000. This year, we estimated $1,618,000, and we're estimating in the budget next year, $957,000 fund balance, but that's only if we spend all those for the grants and the extra post-closure costs. It probably won't be that much, but as long as we keep anywhere around $1 million in the, that's in that fund too, in the solid waste fund, we're good.
We're one of the few counties that got that much fund balance too.
Yeah, most counties don't have any. Most of them have, some of them even pay when people brings.
So we're proud about what we got, and we really got a good thing out there.
And two, now part of some of the revenue, what we have done, and I brought it up to the solid waste committee, and we quit charging, if a contractor's tearing down a house, now they have to pay. If anybody construction or a private company comes in and tears something down, they have to pay us tipping fees. They used to in the past, if you tore out carpet out of your house and you went to the dump, we charged you $40 a ton to get rid of, because it was building materials. So I had them to quit doing that, because people were paying taxes anyway for that, so I don't see any reason to charge people to get rid of it. Now, if you're redoing your house, you shouldn't have to pay to get rid of your trash when you're already paying property tax. So we quit doing that, so the revenue may be a little less, but that's why, because, but most of the people bringing a lot of the stuff out there are contractors, and they all are paying, and the companies are all paying, but, like I said, you pay your property tax to get rid of your trash, there's no reason to pay just because you're bringing carpet instead of cans. So, but I see why they done that in the past, because these private companies were bringing a lot of stuff in, and, you know, the building material stuff, we had to pay more than at that time. But that's when we were hauling trash to Birdstown, and we're not hauling it there now, so I know people, when they ask, hey, you know, we're paying taxes and they're not getting a lot from it, well, there's a lot of services they get that they don't think about, and that's one of them. I mean, their property tax is paying for that. Most counties charge you, like we used to do, you know, to get rid of your household, like sheet rock or whatever, so we're not doing that at all. We started that this year, and I'm charging for that. So I mean, sometimes it's, and that keeps less money, and, you know, they really don't need to be, you know, doing small deposits like that out there anyway, solid waste, so, through the scale house. So that's solid waste fund. Do you have any questions about that one? Next fund is the courthouse and jail maintenance, and that's here for the courthouse. Yes. Greg, good question. Oh. So that's a really small fund. $387 revenue the last couple of years. I mean, that's out of, there's a certain percent of fees and fines that come out of the court that goes to the jail and courthouse maintenance. That's just for this building. Now, we did budget $5,000 for this year, because I'm looking at a camera system for the outside of this building. You know, they've done one through a court grant for the inside of the building, and there's cameras inside here, but the outside of the building, we need to get.
On that one camera back there by the bathrooms, Julie and them said that you can see in the men's bathroom when that door
Well,
is
that's why I
open.
told them not to, whoever's propping the door open, to not prop it, because if you prop
I
the
mean,
door,
can it be reset?
that's the courtroom security grant that the sheriff's department got. The sheriff's actually over where the cameras go. But the doors are not propped open. I mean, you can't see inside I don't want anybody to think you're talking about it's like in the bathrooms. The inside, if the doors are propped open, you can see the sink in the men's, all you can see. But if the doors ain't propped open, you can't see anything.
Julie told me the other day that it needs to stay closed.
Yeah, well, I was in there in their office, you can see it, I told them to tell whoever that, because, I mean, it was just looking at the door, as long as the door was closed. That's where the sheriff done put the cameras. So estimated fund balance in that one, $13,000 last year, of course, we haven't spent any in several years. $13,640 this year estimating, and next year, if we put the camera system in and spend what we got in the budget, it'd be $9,289 fund balance. Which really, I mean, unless we have to do something like that, electronic or maintenance, usually on the building, we're doing it out of Rutherford County General. And like 2 years ago, we done all the paint, we painted all the windows. It'd been 11 years, because we had some wood rotted on the end. $10,000 that was to get that painted. So trying to keep, we've had the roof worked on several times, so we're just trying to keep the stuff going here in the courthouse. Any questions on any of that we went over? That's all of that one. Does anybody wanna go over 911 and nursing home tonight? Or does anybody wanna start tomorrow on that? Well, we got the general fund. General fund will probably take a couple nights, maybe. Now, this year it won't take as many nights because we don't have the school budget. We will not have it until, we'll have to get that out to everybody, and if everybody's got any questions.
That's grant that we're having to pass with the city, that's where we're gonna come up with that out of fund balance for that.
Out of fund balance,
I didn't see it in the bill.
well, it won't be in that one.
Courthouse.
Yeah, it won't be in the courthouse one because there's not enough money
Okay.
in that one.
When's that gonna start?
Later this year, but there was some question about the fountain out here, and y'all not voted on that yet at the main court meeting, until we have clarification on the fountain out here.
Okay, all right.
So, until that happens, we won't be voting.
I didn't know that.
But we were looking at, that money from the governor, they were gonna give us $600-something thousand, and we were gonna buy patrol cars and use that for the grant. Now, they decided to let us have that and put it in the general fund, instead of having to spend it on a certain thing, that'll help us offset last year's losses. But we're not getting 600,000, we're getting like 881,000. So that will help this year tremendously, and if that money, we'll use some of it for that grant, and we put the patrol cars back in the sheriff's budget, because we were gonna spend it out of that money to save it out of the general fund, but now that we got it to go in the general fund, there's no reason to leave that out of his budget. And if we get the fire trucks that we applied for, the CVG, we can use that money too to pay for the match on that, it'll give about 120,000 match, so that will help us quite a bit. When we go over to the general fund, everybody will see, that's helping us a lot. It's a good thing because they were gonna make it where you had to just spend it on certain things, now that'll help us offset, that helped every county in Tennessee.
I'll be the one for that too.
That's the only time we were gonna get 600-something thousand, so they decided not to give Nashville, Knoxville, Memphis the extra money, so they divided it up between everybody else, and they made it 880-something thousand. But then they decided they were gonna go ahead and give the bigger cities the money, but they didn't go back and take our money, they went ahead and give us that money too, so.
When will we have clarification on the grant for this? About the water tower?
Probably this week,
This week?
or next week. We'll have clarification before the county court votes on it, and when we bring it up to the county court meeting, we'll have clarification about the fountain out here
Okay.
before you all vote on it. That's why I waited another month, because there was some question about the fountain out here
Yeah.
until we get, which, I spoke to several of y'all, I not spoke to everybody, but I told the city we were not gonna put the match in if the fountain moved. I mean, that's my opinion, it's on our property, it's our fountain.
No, he didn't.
But I mean, we need to discuss that before we vote to, which, we need to redo these, the concrete looks bad, all this stuff, the curbs are all bad around through here, and that'll save us a lot of money by getting that grant, but, the families and the public is made it known they want the fountain to stay here, so. But the last meeting I had, the fountain will stay here. Now, there was some question about moving it over to this side, but, that's up to the families of the two soldiers that it's dedicated to. If they decide they want it moved over here, I would be fine with that, but if they don't, it needs to stay right there. But they probably will have to take that fountain out and do the landscaping under it and then put the fountain back. It will go back, because we won't put the match part in until it does, so. Does everybody know what I'm talking about? That's fountain out here. I know pretty much everybody's heard. I mean, there was a petition, there was several thousand people that was upset that it was looking at being moved. And then them plans, they were drawn up before the fountain was there. But really, we've got to do new plans anyway, because you can't use a set of plans, engineering plans, that old. So we've got to draw new ones anyway. My point to them is, we've got to do new plans, so we just draw the fountain into the new plans, and there's no problem. So, but I think that's what the city's looking at doing now.
The cannon, we're gonna stay in the same place.
Cannon's supposed to be in front of the doors over here on this side. I don't know. Then there's two flagpoles. I gotta see.
That's what I've been telling people.
Now, I will say that I met with the city and the VFW, the American Legion. The American Legion and the VFW were fine with the plans. So they were the main ones that needed to be met with about the veterans organizations. They were fine with what was happening with the monuments. The monuments are just turning, and it's gonna be more of a focal point where the monument's at instead of the cannon. Of course, the cannon and everything was moved up here from the Joy of Evans several years ago, but, the plants, they look nice. It'll all look nice, and the fountain and all will go right with it, I think. So there's a few things they'll have to move for the Fountains Day, but I mean, we gotta draw them in engineering plans anyway, so. Okay, let me hand out this other, 911 and, go ahead and do that tonight. Then we'll start on general fund tomorrow night. And this one, we won't really have to go over line item by line item because it's, BJ there. Who's, okay. Frankie Baby. Let's save the best for last. All right, has everybody got those? Like I said, the schools, we'll have to go over that later because we won't have that till at least the 15th. So if we get that, the 14th, the school's gonna have their school board meeting. If they pass it and get to the county the 15th, we get in the paper the next week at the earliest, the first or second Monday in August would be the quickest we could pass the budget. So either August 3rd or the 10th, one would be when we'd be able. So we won't have a county court meeting in July. There's no reason to, because we were gonna have it at the very last to get the budget passed, but we won't have the budget in time. Yes. But we'll get the school budget out to everybody. If anybody's got any questions, we'll just have to, we won't have time to go over it in another. Of course, it'll be the, on our part, it'll be that we'll be giving them a little more money we gave them last year, but, you know, that's all we can control is what money we give them. Of course, we do approve their budget, but they'll already have it set, so. The nursing home, everybody's ready to start the nursing home budget. Now, they are basing it off of last year's 10 care rates, and then 10 care rates are gonna go up, so the revenue will be more than what estimated. So basically on the nursing home, the main things, and I know it's hard to, of course it goes up and down with patients and revenue from them, but on page 3, almost down at the bottom, you see the big number, $5,041,000. That's what the Medicare rates coming in, but that's estimating off of last year's numbers, so it would probably be more than that. And then there's the veterans, the VA pays part on page 4. You see $639,000. That fluctuates a little on what the VA pays. Page 5, down toward the bottom, you'll see $3,147,000 on Medicare Part A. That will probably go more than that too. So on page 6, total revenue, I think she circled that on, is that circled on everybody's? So $10,131,000 is what their budget is total revenue, but it will probably be more than that because the Medicare rate is going up. Nobody knows the rate yet, so we think it will be a lot more than that. So just remember that number. We'll go back to that in a second. So that is the total revenue, and so if you go to page 8, big number there, $1,011,000. That's the total of nursing cost. Page 9. Total altogether with the other nursing is $3,627,000. Page 10, that's the dietary, that's the people working in the kitchen doing that. That's $1,054,000 total cost. And on page 11, we've circled laundry, $161,000 total expenditure. Housekeeping, $316,000. Most of that salaries, supplies. Page 13, versus nursing home budget's still different. That's why we circled all things. Total plant, that's utilities there, $854,000. Total barber and beauty, the next part down, $27,000. Next page is activities, where they have activities for the senior citizens, $119,000. Social services, 89,000, circled on page 14. Page 15, purchase services, 788,000. So on page 18, the big number, operating costs, $9,506,000 is what their budget and operating costs are, and their estimated revenues, $10,131,000. So that's $624,000 more revenue than they've got expenditure. But it will probably be more than that because the Medicare rates, and when the new park gets open, it'll be more than that because the rates are more for that type of service they're offering in the new building. So, of course, we don't put any money into the nursing home budget. They're self-sufficient. Now, the loans that we've got, if somehow the nursing home couldn't pay them, the county would have to pay those, but we've not. I think it's been 2003 or 4 since we put any money into the nursing home, but they paid the county back on that. It was a management issue we had then, so the nursing home right now has been running really good. County commission's been good to watch everything that's been spent. So that's pretty much the nursing home budget, which if all our budget looks like that, we'd be in good shape. I mean, but it may be a lot more than that. We don't really know what the Medicare rate's gonna be. That fluctuates with patients coming in, but after the new park gets open, next year's revenue will be a lot more. So that's gonna help pay the payments on the new park and have a lot better facility for the seniors to use. So, any questions about the nursing home budget? Just like I said, we just approved the budget up or down, but we don't put any money for it. That's just, I know it's county owned, but we have the nursing home board, the 5 commissioners that approve the budget. Any questions on that? Page 20 is the 911 budget. We do put $150,000 a year into that. As the 911 board, you all met and approved, you've done approved the budget for, so basically the $150,000 is what we're putting in. We used to put $400,000 a year into it. Now we've got a contract. It's $150,000 a year, and basically we're paying them for dispatching, which is a really good deal because the city of Livingston pays a lot more for dispatching themselves than we pay to pay 911 to do it. And it helps us that they're doing Pickett County too, because it helps offset the cost. So on that budget, their budget looks pretty good too. Revenue, last year, $691,000, estimated $713 this year. Next year, $768,000 revenue. And
We went up 3% last year, I think.
salaries, yes.
We're doing it again this year.
That's what the board approved, yes. Of course, you know, the people working out there, the pay is not kept up with the county as far as what people working there are getting paid. And we worked on the sheriff's department, we worked on the ambulance service, and we worked on the clerical, but the 911 pay is not up to what those are. And that's pretty low for the people that's doing them services.
Get the extra, it's what, around 800,000. Bring it back through the 911 bills and increase, and they get reapportioned it from the whole state. I mean, they'll get, it's right about 800,000. Pickett County's finally paid us the 3,000 a year now.
It's a rare deal.
We still,
We still owe it.
27,000.
Yeah. it's
Well,
all of it.
you know, when I first got on 911 board, I had a problem with that, but we get more revenue from their fees than it costs us to.
Yeah.
And I know that was a small, the only reason they started paying that is they want to do their own dispatching. The judge wanted to do their own dispatching, but, I mean, for $150,000 for all the dispatching we're getting done, that's a heck of a deal. I mean, most places are paying, I mean, we were paying $300,000-400,000 several years ago. So, I mean, that's one of the better deals. I mean, there's some deals in the past, and it's not been too good. This right here is really good for the number of people we got dispatching and the service we get from them.
And all the dispatchers are certified EMTs too, which is not, that's kind of unusual for dispatching.
Yeah, we've got more people trained, and they love their job, or they wouldn't be here, because the pay is not nowhere close to what it ought to be for the quality of people we got working and the training they have. So when somebody calls about anything, they're trained to know That helps, that'd be an EMT or a paramedic would be on that phone. You know, 'cause that's a lot more training than most 911 people get when you call in, so. Page 21, total operating expenses, last year was $868,000, this year, $889,000, and they're budgeting the exact same, $889,000 next year. So on page 22, total operating expenses, $868,000. That was total revenue, and it was a balanced budget. Expenses were $868,000, so pretty much $102 more they brought in than they spent. This year, $890,000 revenue, and it cost $889,000, which was $911 more. For the next year, they're estimating the revenue is $1,062,000, and they're estimating expending $889,000. So that's a total of $172,000 more going to the debt service, or their general fund balance for 911. And also, you know, they help us with all the radios for the county. They save us more than what we spend on the 911 fees on radio services for the whole county anyway. So I know a lot of people don't, they think it's just where you call in 911. That's not all of it. The radio that we have for the sheriff's department, the highway department, the schools, and everybody, they help do all of that, so. Did a really good job. Well, that's all we got. Does anybody got any questions about any of the funds that we went over tonight? So tomorrow night, we'll go over general fund only. Of course, that's the biggest fund we got. That's the most, we may be able to do it all tomorrow night. It may take part of Wednesday, but it may not. So if we don't have to meet Wednesday, I guess everybody's all right with that, too. But usually we got to school, and that takes quite a bit, you know, quite a bit of time. Now, if enough people's got enough questions about the school budget, I don't think we'll have enough time to meet again. We could meet and just go over the school budget if everybody wanted to at the end of the month, but it's up to you all. We could, and, you know, when we have the court meeting, there's a public hearing for 30 minutes, usually we don't have anybody come. We could go over then. If everybody wanted to come 30 minutes early for the court meeting, go over that. So basically, and tomorrow night we'll get more into general fund. I mean, what we're looking at this year is not raising taxes, it's actually dropping it 28 cents down to the certified rate the state says is what we need to go with, $1.97. And if that's the case, this will be 5 years in a row we've not raised taxes, which is the longest in a row that I can find that the county's ever went. I've looked back several years, and usually about every 2 years or 3 we had to. So we built a lot of things, but we got a lot of building construction going on. That's really helped. We got a lot of new houses. These counties our size, most of them don't have that many houses being built. That's what's helped. So at Rickman, we got these subdivisions going everywhere, and you know, the companies we got like Country Farm and Home and Fitzgerald's. I mean, they're doing quite a bit and everything. I know the economy kind of looks bad nationwide because of the COVID, but we weren't hit as bad as some places are because we don't rely purely on tourism. You know, the places like Nashville and Gatlinburg, their sales tax last month was $5 million less than it was last year for 1 month. So they've got a maintenance effort with the schools. They got to come up with that $5 million somewhere, which they probably got it in the fund balance maybe. But you know, our sales tax was only $400 less the first month of the COVID. Last month it was 10,000 more than we got last year. So the sales tax is actually done good because everybody's buying building materials and working at home on their houses and stuff, which is good. Keeps them out of the COVID. Speaking of the COVID, I know this ain't nothing to do with the budget, but I know y'all seen the governor delegated off to the counties about requiring masks. I met with all the Upper Cumberland mayors. There's no county in Upper Cumberland going to mandate that everybody has to wear a mask. I don't feel like this time we need to here. So what do y'all feel about that? I mean, governor, I feel like if the governor wanted everybody to wear a mask, he needs to mandate it. Don't lay it off on the county.
Well, the thing about the mask is the mask will not prevent you from getting the COVID-19. It prevents you from spreading it.
Who knows if that even prevents you from spreading it? See, they don't really know. I mean, nobody knows for sure. I mean, that's, I just, there's no way we can enforce it. there's no way we can make everybody do it. I mean, it ain't like we're gonna arrest them if they don't wear a mask. We'll have to supply, I feel like if I say every other person in Overton County needs to wear a mask, I feel like we'd have to supply them all masks. And I know people's asked me that, if we're gonna say you gotta wear them, and you know, if you think you need to wear a mask, you need to. And I mean, I think everybody probably needs to. I wear one, I'm depending on where I go. I mean, but anybody, I mean, I just talked to a lady, and you know, and I said if you're 60 years old or older, everybody needs to wear them anyway. And if you've got respiratory problems, you need to wear them. But we're getting this grant to redo the gym over here. Lady I talked to works at that company, her son's 24 years old, and he's fighting for his life in Nashville with the COVID. I mean, most time you don't think of the younger people getting it, but you know, there was a person died, and Broadway actor, and he's 40-something, really healthy. So, I mean, nobody really knows for sure. I mean, we've got 63 cases, I think, today is what we got in Overton County, out of 22,000 people. Most of those are recovered. I think we've had one fatality out of it total. Yeah, I don't know if we get to hundreds. Macon County is exactly the same size as Overton County, and they've got almost 500. They had big, huge revivals, and they had hundreds get it at the revivals. I mean, they maybe need to think about, but we had a conference call today, and they're not looking at mandate masks. Putnam County's not. No county in Upper Cumberland is. Putnam County's got almost as many cases as Knox County's got. But then again, that's a low percentage to the number of people that got living. But I'm just not for mandating something we can't. I mean, we really, you know, like before with the shelter in place, the governor, you know, put that off on the county to enforce that too, but we got no, the DA says we have no jurisdiction. We can't enforce that. We can't force this mask thing if we, so, I mean, we're gonna have a press conference against City Hall, but what I was gonna say, you know, I think if anybody wants to wear a mask, they should. If you around somebody, anybody still needs to social distance, that's why we're still spread out in here. I think we need to do that on into August on the next meetings, maybe the next couple meetings. I don't know, I don't think we need to change that. As far as making everybody wear a mask, I don't think that's the right thing to do, but that's,
People just stay home, they're sick, keep that. And he's got to send everybody.
well, and that's like in the past, you know, of course, in the past it didn't matter because they wouldn't keep track of the flu. You know, we had people every day to annex coughing, oh, I shouldn't be up here, they shake your hand, oh, I've got the flu, I shouldn't even be here. Well, you know, they come in there anyway, they shouldn't come in there with the flu. You know, and I mean, that, of course now and I mean, it's real, I mean, it's a bad deal, I'm not saying it's not, but now we're keeping up with it, and we're testing more, and there's more people showing that have it. But I don't know that we're to the point we need to make every person wear a mask. It would be probably better if everybody did and stayed 6 foot apart from each other, but who knows if that'd stop.
We still have more people die of the flu than have this so far, and then we got a vaccine for the flu.
It's about, you know, I mean, everybody knows the numbers are gonna go up when we open everything back up. I mean, you can't really shut back down now. I mean, I don't see them going back to the way it was, shutting back down, because it didn't really help it. But here lately, I mean, they've been, and I'm glad we didn't have the fire, and the bunch that had the fire called and wanted to set up a carnival in Livingston, and I told them no. I mean, I don't think we need to have a carnival if we ain't gonna have the fire. But Smith County had their fire, we'll see if their numbers go way up. I mean, I don't think they had people come in from, most of the people at their fire wasn't from Smith County, they was from somewhere else. Who knows what, you know, their numbers will do. Oh yeah, I mean, we could, if we were the only county and everybody around us didn't have one, I mean, I think it'd been a bad, I mean, I know people like to have something to do, but I mean, basically, this ain't the same times we used to have about going, and where we're getting cases, in my opinion, I'll be honest with you, people's going on vacation to Florida and Myrtle Beach and stuff.
And they're bringing
it back because there's been several that I know of, the cases here lately, people went on vacation to them places, and in places, everything's wide open, it's like nothing ever happened. And then they got sick, and their whole family got sick, and they come back. I mean, I would like to take my kids to the beach too, but it ain't gonna be this year. If we do go to the beach, it'll be in Birdstown, because it won't be Myrtle Beach. But I mean, that's where all these cases is coming from these big places. Florida is having more numbers than they've ever had, but everybody's going. And that's what worries me too about the mask, you know, there's less people wearing them now, and it's less people sanitize, they're not using it as much. So everybody, the longer something goes on, I realize, you know, it's just kind of don't even look at numbers. I mean, to start with, I was looking at CNN every day, I still check the numbers, but I don't think mandating everybody has to wear a mask is gonna really bring the numbers down.
Have we ever done a figure like what the economic impact would be for a repair for a week?
You know, we talked about that, but it's hard to do the numbers because the sales tax, you can't really tell. Basically, you know, in the fire,
You could go by the visitation.
yeah, I mean, we could look at the sales tax numbers off of the last year for July, but, you know, July is May or June, so we'd have to look at August's numbers for July, until, we'll know, I tell you what, we'll know in a couple of months on the sales tax, because if the sales tax went way down that 1 month, it'll be because of the fire. But then again, how much of it's actually spent in the county and how much is spent in the city, because we won't see the city numbers. Because people ain't really staying when they come here, they're just going to the fire and they're spending money. Now, what it did hurt is the fire department's fundraising this year. And again, you know, a lot of the fire departments has got a lot of older people in them that are the volunteers. What if some of them had got it from being out there at the fire having these booths? I mean, you know, when the mule day is going and everything, senior day, the fire is full of older people. I mean, ain't no way I don't want it to have that senior day this year.
They wouldn't have had that.
I mean, what, you know, but if it carries in the air, which nobody don't know, I mean, you could have had hundreds have it. I mean, we had a fire board meeting, there's 5 got it that night. Or may have got it. So, I mean, so I know I just, if you got any, I mean, if you have people, I've only had 1 or 2 that wanted us to mandate masks, but I've had most of them not. Because most people ain't gonna wear them anyway if we did mandate it, but I suggest anybody that wants to, thinks that anywhere needs to wear it, I mean.
But if you've got lung issues too, your lung doctor don't do it.
Yeah, you can't mandate anybody, that's the whole thing about the mask, the ones that need it, you can't mandate them to wear it. If anybody's got any kind of respiratory problems, you cannot mandate that they wear a mask. So basically, you're only mandating that people that are healthy wear a mask. I don't know that helps the situation unless they change something. And we're gonna have a meeting with the health department tomorrow, and I'm gonna, you know, get some input from them, but as of right now, none of the 14 upper Cumberland counties are gonna mandate the masks. And then some of y'all, like Greg, would look better with a mask on, but Jeff. All right, that's all. Unless anybody got any questions about it? Tomorrow night, we'll go and start general fund, which that's longer than what we've all went through together tonight.